The first thing I wrote was a herb section, so I had in there parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme, and then I just did something like parsley's nice, chop it up and you can sprinkle it on food, it looks good, and sage is alright, you can put it in tea. And by the end of the book we've written so much about so many different things, this all looked a bit scrappy, didn't it? We're just about, it was going to go to the printer, I had to go to the printer the next day because everything had been booked up, and Sammy at the last minute said, look, this is rubbish basically, guys, I'm not putting it in, you know. So he said, you've got to redo it. So I had to go off that afternoon. So it's like about 3 coffees really get my brain, because I was like, oh my goodness, get my brain going. So I just imagined I was in the exam room. Don't know if you remember school exams. Well, I was a particularly irritating kid who enjoyed exams. I was just so irritating because I never did that much work, you know, and somehow when it came to the exams I could just come out with all this stuff and somehow I'd get quite good marks, you know, and after the exam I'd be like, yeah, really on a high, you know, and some people are like really scared and they're going to exams like this and they've been studying up the night before and I hadn't done any homework, I just come in and, you know, just have a tie like that and I just went like that and just, so I just imagined, okay, I've got to imagine, took myself back to that sort of youth sort of thing, and I just said, right, I got an hour, and then I'll tell you what, I mean, this, I just wanted to tell you about this because it really epitomised the whole creative process in writing the book, because I thought when I write a book it'll just be writing what I know and I research a bit, but I never realised that it would come alive. Any of you do writing, it's such a beautiful thing to do because somehow it's sort of something whispers in your ear, and I was just thinking, right, parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme, and then that song, Simon and Garfunkel. There's probably youngsters here. I've been to audiences and people don't know who Simon and Garfunkel. Do you know Simon and Garfunkel? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're really educated. Well, Canberra, I know. When I come to Canberra, it's such a cultural place that you're going to know. But a lot of I go to these young people. Yeah, you remember that song? Simon and Garfunkel, they go, no, I don't remember it at all. So this song started going around my head, so I thought, Google's wonderful, so I got on it. Okay, so then I found more about it, and I found out, because it sounds like, you know, just a couple, it's supposed to be sung as a duet, and then they're sort of giving each other, okay, I'll love you if you do this, and I'll love you if you do that. And it sounds like all these impossible tasks, isn't it? Like you've got to have a shirt with no seams, which shirt's got to have seams, hasn't it? You know, or you've got to cut a field with a leather sickle. You can't cut grass with a... So it's all the then I'll love you sort of thing. But the chorus is parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme. But what we didn't realise, I thought it was just a 60s sort of hippie, you know, love song sort of thing. But it's actually a very old English folk song. And in those days, you know, there was we think all this is new, like plant-based eating, we think, you know, going on intermittent fasting, being vegetarian. It's all new, but people have always done it. In the traditional Christian calendar, there's more fasting days than not, because it was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday every week, plus 40 days before Easter, then there's all... And originally, and especially in the Eastern Christian Church, that was all, you didn't have any animal products, or definitely didn't have meat, you know. And also the way they thought about nature, it was much more intimate actually. So there was like a whole language that you could to do with plants and what their qualities were. So when you say parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme, it's not just la 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 la. The parsley, but that's the real meaning is in that. So the rest of it, they're just like playing hard to get. She's just saying, well, I love you if you do this, and you know, he says, well, I love you if you do that, and but the real meaning is in that. It's coded, and the parsley, they said parsley, it removes bitterness. So you use parsley in cooking. It's sort of, but they say, so by saying, okay, parsley, let's take any bitterness that we may have hold for each other. Just you know, forgive each other. And sage, yeah, sage is about health. So saying when we're together, you know, we'll be healthy, we'll look after each other. And rosemary is about remembrance. I think on Anzac Day you use rosemary, isn't it? Yes, that's right. It's about remember, because rosemary has a scent that it doesn't just evaporate; it lingers. So saying this is a love that it won't just be like something, you know, quick. It's gonna linger. We're gonna, you know, remember each other. It's something that's permanent. And then finally, thyme. So what does thyme represent? So what they used to do in the medieval days was, you know, the knights went into battle sort of thing. Then they would give them thyme, because thyme is for courage. And courage actually comes from the French word to do with, I'm going to say this totally, can you speak French? I hope not. Coeur, which is heart. So courage really means to follow your heart. So when your heart is saying something, sometimes it takes courage to do it. So they're saying, okay, we know maybe it's not going to be easy, but let's have courage to follow our heart and follow our dreams. And I'm really pleased that Samuel and myself, we did that. You know, it wasn't an easy thing to write a book, was it? We had a few, you know, it takes a lot of time, took a lot of perseverance, but we finally did it. And there's something so magical when you live. So you're part of my dream now, that I'm here in Canberra, in this wonderful capital city of Australia, with our book, with all our friends, and with Alina who's invited us here.